What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having an amazing day, just not a better day than mine, because if you saw the title and thumbnail of this video, you know what this video is all about. I want to welcome you to the newest member of the Cars with Miles family, standing right behind me. Welcome to my 2025 BMW M4 Competition. Now, before we get into flexing with you guys with my new BMW M4 Competition, I just want to thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing and watching all the videos and all of the ads. You better not be using ad blocker, because without you guys, this car would not be possible to have on the channel. So firstly, make sure you buy our merch to make sure we can get more cars on the channel and I can flex on you guys some more. Also, hit that like button. If you're watching this video, even if you haven't watched this video yet, you better be smashing, obliterating that like button. I need you guys to go Oppenheimer on that like button. If not, we won't be able to get cars like this on the channel. But anyway, let's get into the spec, because this is one of the best specs of any BMW M4 competition you'll ever see. All right, let's get into it. Firstly, this is a one-of-one spec, and that's because this is the only BMW M4 competition painted in BMW individual chalk color with blue bucket seats that was built on a Tuesday at 1 p.m. As you can see, we have the carbon pack on this car, which firstly comes with the carbon ceramic brakes. You're not going to see that on your average G80 build. We also, of course, have the carbon roof. And then, taking a look on the inside, we, of course, have the carbon fiber steering wheel, the carbon fiber trim. Of course, we have the carbon fiber bucket seats. Oh my God, there's so much carbon on this car. These carbon bucket seats actually save so much weight in the car, so now the car only weighs like 3,800 pounds, which is basically nothing. But boys, taking a look inside, look at all that carbon fiber trim. Look at all that carbon fiber here, that carbon fiber there. Look at this carbon fiber steering wheel. Boys, there's so much carbon on this car. Oh, my bad, guys. My alarm just went off. Sorry for the interruption. I don't even know why I set it this late, because I literally never sleep. So there's literally no point of having an alarm, because I'm just always grinding. That's how I got this car. But boys, we have so much we have to do to this car. We are going to do an epic build on this, something that no one has seen on YouTube before. So firstly, we're going to do y'all DRLs. We're going to do a downpipe. We're going to do a tune. We're going to straight pipe it. Then we're going to do all the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber CSL grille, carbon fiber front lip, carbon fiber spoiler, carbon fiber trunk, carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber door cards, carbon fiber back seat deletes, carbon fiber wheels, carbon fiber side skirts, carbon fiber fender. What you just saw is the average G8X buyer and YouTuber nowadays, full of discolored cinematic sequences and wanting to turn their entire car into carbon fiber. But what this video is really about is why you might want to reconsider this specific M4 competition. All right, in all serious though, isn't it crazy how just a few years ago, everyone was jumping on this bandwagon of hating the BMW M3 and M4, the G8X generation. Now, they're pretty much the most beloved entry-level high-end sports car you can buy. We're not talking about the M340i's or the S3s or the C43s. We're talking about the flagship entry-level sports car from a brand. These are the most beloved as far as the big German 3. And we're starting to see these cars everywhere. Everybody's doing the exact same things to these cars, the LDRLs, downpipe tune, etc. That's not what this video is about. This video is going to be all about why this is still one of the best sports cars you can buy for the money, especially with the LCI upgrades we've got. So what's new with the 25 model year M4 and M3 competition? Well, the obvious thing right here, the new LED headlights. These headlights definitely, I think, are a bit sharper and more modern looking than what you have on the previous generation, but it's a pretty subtle upgrade to those who aren't super familiar with these cars. But you also now have new LED taillight designs that are ripped straight from the BMW M4 CSL. So you no longer have to modify your M4 to get the CSL taillights. They'll now come from the factory and they look pretty freaking sick, I can't lie. But as far as exterior changes, that's pretty much it. There's literally nothing else that's different with this car from the factory. This is an LCI model year change, so it's not a new generation of car, and so not everything is going to be completely different, although there are some more noticeable changes on the interior that we should check out. So the biggest thing you're going to notice when you step inside here is that you now have a flat bottom steering wheel as standard with the M4 competition and non-competition M4. The M Sport 4 Series and 3 Series across the board now gets this flat bottom steering wheel. And some people are gonna feel some type of way about it, but if you're familiar with BMW lineage, this is something that they've done in other cars in the past. It was an optional upgrade from the M Performance Upgrades catalog to get a flat bottom steering wheel on the E92 generation of M3 with that blue stripe up top. I'm sure if you are familiar with that generation of car, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But outside of that, the interior looks pretty similar for the most part, outside of a few tiny little changes. Something you're gonna notice is that this little pattern here right below the carbon fiber trim, that's something that's new and that wasn't on the previous generation before. It really doesn't do anything functionally speaking, but it's a very small but noticeable aesthetic change. And then you're just going to be getting new graphics on the wide touchscreen display here. A lot of them that you're going to see when you first boot up the car. You're going to see the M4 right here doing a little 360 spin when you turn the car on. Things like that, just very slight little changes. You will notice that we have carbon buckets here, and the nut cruncher thing is still here to stay. So if you were hoping that that was gonna go away, sorry, BMW is committing to it. And honestly, the more I use these seats, the more comfortable I get getting in and out of them. They're honestly not too bad. After driving in them for like an hour plus, it can definitely be a little fatiguing, but there are honestly way worse bucket seats to have compared to this. But overall interior tech and livability of this car really hasn't changed at all. You still have all the same tech features that you know and love if you get them optioned. BMW assisted driving, which I've been using a lot, especially in stop and go traffic on the freeway. The pretty same kind of middle of the road speaker setup. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of the speakers in this car. You could definitely get a better experience from a Mercedes, for example, but they're all right. Overall, not much has changed from the aesthetic and interior standpoint outside of those little changes I pointed out. And so the big question is, how does this car drive compared to the previous generation? Let's find out, starting with a launch control. All right, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little bit to figure out how to get launch control dialed in because I had some issues the last time we tested this with the M3 CS. The launch control sequence for the rear-wheel drive version is a little bit different, but I've got it dialed in now. So we should be good to go. It's about 53 degrees. Tires are at about like 80 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so should be decently warm. I'm expecting at least a sub 4, but we might have to run it a few times, but let's get it. All right, so first you have to put it in second, foot on the brake. Bogged. That bogged like crazy. Oh man, that bogged like crazy. That was not a great launch. Felt a whole lot of wheel slip. Let's see what we did though. Dang, 4.4. Yeah, that was not great. That was not great at all. All right, let's try that one more time. I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting launch control. This is so weird. I don't know why this is. I really don't like the launch control systems in these new BMWs. I feel like it's just too complicated, honestly. Porsche, Mercedes, they all have a really simple dialed in solution, whereas this is just like, I don't like it. I'm not a big fan. All right, let's try this again. That didn't feel too much better. It might be a little too cold. We're on Pilot Sport 4S's just in case that wasn't obvious. 3.95. Yeah, I don't know. It's not hooking. This car can do like a 3.4 easy on a good day. It might just be a little bit too cold. That might be the thing. I tried getting launch control to work, but it just wasn't being consistent enough for me. And with my daylight running out quickly, I needed to pivot and get to the actual review. But I'm sure in ideal conditions, I could do a sub 3.5 easily. But BMW still has a lot of work to do as far as dialing in their launch control systems. I'm not a fan. I think the biggest thing to note with this LCI model is that not much has changed fundamentally, and that's because not much really needed to change with these cars outside of perhaps a better launch control sequence, because that's still pretty bad. These cars have always been rowdy and super fast from the factory, especially given how much they cost, and so there isn't much that fundamentally needed to change as far as the essence of what these cars bring to the table. But the biggest thing that people have complained about with these G8X M cars, and really all BMW performance cars made in the past handful of years, is the steering feel. It has never really been that great. Very numb, artificial, video gamey. These are all words that we've seen people throw around when describing the steering feel on these cars. Does this LCI model completely remedy that? No, not really, but it certainly feels noticeably better. Not by a lot, but certainly noticeable. It feels a bit more weighted, a bit more connected. It's not as eager to oversteer as the previous pre-LCI cars were. I think they've definitely listened to everyone that's been complaining about the steering feel in the G8X cars, and while it certainly is no McLaren or Porsche in terms of steering feel, it's certainly better, and hopefully it can improve even further in future models, although I'm not too hopeful about that. Power remains exactly the same for the non-xDrive model, which is what we're in right now, and you're getting a 20 horsepower bump for the xDrive M3 and M4 in coupe and convertible form. And that leads me to something I've been thinking about a little bit. I've seen a lot of these new M3s and M4s on the road, and I'd say a good chunk of them, probably 60% of the ones I see, are all-wheel drive models. And when you consider the fact that those cars only weigh about 100-ish pounds more than a rear-wheel drive model, they're only $5,000 more than the rear-wheel drive model, you're getting a horsepower bump, it kind of makes me wonder, why get the rear-wheel drive model? Does the rear-wheel drive model actually make sense anymore? You see, the killer thing about the all-wheel drive models is that you're not just stuck with all-wheel drive. You can enable a two-wheel drive mode that you probably saw me do if you watched my M3 CS review. You put it in two-wheel drive mode and you pretty much have an identical experience to what you have here in the rear-wheel drive competition model. And so you're only paying $5,000 more, you're only gaining about 100 pounds, which, I mean, that's not nothing, but I mean, that theoretically could be taken out some way, somehow, or maybe you tune it in the aftermarket to offset the power to weight ratio. And so, why get the rear-wheel drive model if you can just pay $5,000 more, still have access to a rear-wheel drive experience, get more power, and more usability if you live somewhere here like New Jersey or the East Coast where, you know, it rains, it snows, you know, harsh climate areas. In my eyes, it seems like now the only reason to opt for the rear-wheel drive model is if you want the manual, and you have to have a manual experience. Otherwise, I think this model kinda is redundant, honestly. I mean, personally, if I were to buy an M3, I mean, given the price difference between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, I'd just go all-wheel drive. Probably tune it a little bit for about 100 extra horsepower, which would then offset the 100 pounds of weight that I'm gaining with the all-wheel drive system. And then when I wanna take it on a nice, cool little back road like this, pop it in two-wheel drive mode, turn traction control off, and have a field day, man. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like this model almost makes no sense to buy for most people. I can't think of a reason why you would need the rear-wheel drive model if you don't need the manual. You might as well just get xDrive, spend a little bit more money, and have a much more usable and all-rounder car. It really is the best of both worlds, and I'm not trying to turn this into an M4 xDrive review, and I'm not even driving that car presently, but just based on my experience with the convertible M4 with xDrive and then the M3 CS that I reviewed a few months ago, man, it really is such a blisteringly fast car. And then when you want two-wheel drive mode, with literally a flick of a button, you've got a completely different experience. I would love to know in the comments down below, is there any reason to get the rear-wheel drive M3 or M4 versus the xDrive model and then just put it in two-wheel drive mode? Is there any reason to do that? But I will say, if you live somewhere like California, you don't need all-wheel drive, you don't need the extra power, you're not trying to drag race anyone or, you know, do stoplight races with people, then save a little bit of cash and get a car that's still brilliant for what it is overall. The last car I drove on this road was 718 Cayman, so definitely feeling that almost 800 pounds I'm gaining hopping into this, but still very capable on a back road. Transmission, ZF8 speed, still as snappy, as responsive as I need it to be. I think BMW has the best tunes on these ZF8 speeds, better than pretty much everyone else in its class. Also, I think we should really point out the state of the G8X generation of BMW. When all these cars first came out, the M3, the M4, the M2, the internet cooked these cars, man, just like how they are with the new M5 right now. I mean, mostly for the design. I don't think anyone was complaining about the horsepower or build quality or anything like that. Pretty much strictly for the design. And now look at it. The G8X, M3, and M4 has, like, it's developed a community of M that's, I think, stronger than what you had with the F80s and even the E90s. People love these cars now, and I mean, they managed to get over the looks, drive it for themselves, realize that it makes a crap ton of power, it handles well, it's not the most soulful, it doesn't sound the best, but it's a really great daily driver. It's stiff, but it's still decently compliant and comfortable to drive every day. The interior looks awesome, especially with these carbon buckets. The S58 engine has proven to be very reliable. It's just an easy sell. Will I be buying one of these cars? No. I think I'm happy with my M3, and I don't know. There's a good chance it might be the last M3 I ever own. I'm just not really as emotionally connected to these newer M cars, but they're still great. And I usually have a good time pretty much every time I drive one of these things. Still need to dial in that launch control stuff because it is just whack. Even on the M3 CS, I had problems just getting it to automatically upshift and things like that. But I'm happy that people are embracing these cars now. They're quite good, and they deserve, I think, all the success they're having right now. Hopefully, you know, we start to see more people come around on the M2. I've certainly seen more and more of those on the road in the past 6 months. BMW still got it. They've still got it. But that's going to be about it for this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content like this. I'm not wearing my merch right now, but we have Cars with Miles merch. You can check it out on our website. Link in the description below. Help support the channel. And yeah, we're definitely going to have some more BMW content coming soon. A very particular car that the internet has been quite emotional about. That'll be coming to the channel sooner than you think. All right, talk to you guys in the next one.